Did you know that in 2023, Atlanta is predicted to lead the nation in the housing market? So we're supposed to be on fire? Is that what they're saying? Is it going to be a blazing fire like we saw last year with skyrocketing prices and multiple offers and panic buying going on? Or are we going to see more of a flicker? Let's find out today in this video where I'm going to share with you what's happened over the last 12 months, where we are right now, and what I'm predicting is going to happen going into 2023. So let's get started. Hey, my name is Connie. I'm a local realtor and I love living here in Atlanta. So this channel is all about sharing what my experience has been living here and what you need to know whether you want to live here, work here, or play here. So if that's interesting to you, make sure you like and subscribe. So here we go, get started. In December, the National Association of Realtors put out a report. They had done a study and they compared all of the major cities in the United States and they looked at key housing indicators. They looked at job growth, the type of technology companies that were coming to the area. They looked at what the current housing inventory looked like. They looked at renters' ability to buy property. They looked at all of these different factors. We got them all hanging out here to determine which cities would be good cities in terms of housing market growth in 2023. And as you can see right here in this chart, Atlanta topped the chart. They were the only city that meet all 10 of their criteria on their indicator factors. So that means that Atlanta looks to be the city with the most housing growth potential in the entire nation. That's great news for those of us who live here in Atlanta. Here are 4 reasons why they said that. 1, Atlanta has a good, affordable cost of living compared to most cities. 2, our population is growing fast. 3, people who are currently renting, about 20% of them can actually afford to buy a home within the median sales price of Atlanta homes. And 4, there's a lot of great job growth here and a lot of technology companies that are coming in. So all of those factors are muddling in, making Atlanta a great place for housing growth next year. So if I'm going to share my predictions for 2023, I want to take a step back and I want to look at what's happened over the last 12 months because it has been a crazy ride. I've been in real estate for 19 years and I've never seen a year where the first half of the year is so incredibly different than the second half of the year. So let's start by looking at the first half of the year. So first of all, we're going to talk about what happened with inventory levels. We all know what happened with COVID. The supply of building materials dropped way down. So builders were not able to provide the housing that our growing nation needed. And so we had a shortage there. We also had a ton of investors that were getting into the market. In fact, I think it was the fourth quarter of 2021 where I looked and 1 out of every 3 homes that was being bought in Atlanta was being bought by an institutional, national, big, huge conglomerate investor. So that made it really hard for first-time homebuyers to purchase properties. And we also had a situation where the people who did own homes were afraid to sell their homes because they were like, once I sell my home, where am I going to move to? So as this chart shows you, the inventory of homes dropped way down to almost nothing by the middle of the year. And what had happened after that happened was everybody started panic buying because they wanted to take advantage of these incredibly low interest rates. Look what happened to interest rates over the last how many years? Interest rates got down even below 3% because the government was trying to entice us to, keep spending money. We had unnaturally low interest rates. So with unnaturally low interest rates, everybody is trying to buy property. So we had multiple offers and it was so hard. I worked with so many buyers who they weren't worried about selling their house. What they were worried about is where were they going to move if they sold. So they said, no, you know what? We're going to wait for things to simmer down a little bit. And in doing that, they didn't put their house on the market, which made the situation worse. So then we had people who had to buy a house and we had multiple offers where we saw homes selling for 100%, 102%, sometimes $5,000 more than asked, all the way I've seen $100,000, $200,000 over asked, depending on the sales price. It really was crazy. But all of that came to a screeching halt in June or July. I would say, I think it was June, when all of a sudden interest rates were slowly going up. I know Cassidy and Matt were under contract to buy a house and it got delayed because they got put in probate court, and they were nervous because their 3% interest rate was slowly going up, and it was a little over 4% at the time, this summer of 2022. And they were all worried. But wow, I mean, then things really changed. All of a sudden, interest rates were over 6% by July, and then they pushed up to 7% at their height in November. So we're talking doubling up on the interest rates in a market where prices are already a lot higher than they were just a couple years ago. And what that did was that put a crippling halt to the number of people who could afford, in today's market, with everything else they're paying for, increased groceries, increased grocery prices, increased gas prices, all of that compounded to create an environment where the buyers were like, it's too scary. We don't know what's going on. Interest rates are all over the place. We're going to hold. And I know for our team personally, we were chugging along, having this amazing year, helping our buyers do whatever it took to get in a property, selling listings really fast, and then it all just dropped. And now here we are in January of 2023, and we've seen a few weeks, I would say we kind of got through the holiday, where interest rates have started to sort of settle down a little bit. Now, it's anybody's guess what's going to happen to interest rates over the next few months. It's all going to depend on what the Federal Reserve thinks is appropriate for our inflation. I think most of the things I've looked at said that the inflation level is starting to wane a little bit. So hopefully, if we do see any more interest rate increases, they're going to be nominal. We're not going to see any huge jumps like we saw last year. And I think that's what the market needs. It needs a little bit of settling down so that buyers and sellers can feel like, okay, let's get back to normal. And I think a lot of people thought initially last year, towards the middle of the year, we are headed into a crash. And that has not panned out. We have definitely slowed way down. But here in Atlanta, we still have really good job growth. We still have population growth. We still have a relatively affordable housing. And I think our weather is pretty awesome. We have a great airport. All of these things contribute to keeping Atlanta a great place for people to buy and live. And so what I think is going to happen as we move into 2023 is we're going to see, one, a little less competition on the buyer side, because interest rates are still going to stay, probably, my guess is around the low sixes. They might dip into the fives, the high fives in a few months, which is going to help get some buyers back into the market, but not the kind of panic buying that we saw last year. So if you're a seller, you need to understand, especially in these first few months of the year, as things are just very slowly starting to come back, is you have to be meeting with an agent, properly staging your house, getting great photography, getting great marketing, so that you put your home in the best light. And most importantly, that you have somebody who knows about pricing, so you can price your house to not sit on the market month after month after month. Because if prices don't go up, and we don't know if prices are going to go up. Experts are saying they feel like we're going to kind of maybe dip still. Like, let me just, wait, before I go forward, let me just show you what happened to prices in 2022. All right, so you can see in this chart, prices were going up until July, and then they have been going down every single month since then. How much longer is it going to go down? I personally feel like we are out of the holidays. Things usually start to pick up and move at the first of the year. So my prediction is we're going to start to level off over the next couple months. And then as things start picking up, house prices may start going up, but they're not going to go up the way they did over the last year or so. In fact, between January and July of last year, prices went up 15% in 6 months. You guys, that is not sustainable. That is not normal. So I feel like we're going to move to a more normal rate. Experts are predicting a 5% increase from where we are now to the end of the year in Atlanta. So, expect that. That's a more normal market. So normal price appreciation. I do think we are going to continue to struggle with our available housing. I think that builders are still struggling with getting their supply, with their labor, which has put just this whole backlog of available homes for new construction homes for sale. And there's a lot of sellers, and raise your hand or comment down below if you're one of these people. You bought your home 5 years ago. Look at where prices were 5 years ago. The average home price was $217,000 5 years ago. That same home right now is $385,000. Guys, that's a 77% increase. So if you're a homeowner and you've lived in your home for 5 years, you're sitting on a nice little bucket of equity. And hopefully, if you had a mortgage, you've refinanced. So now you may be sitting on a mortgage rate somewhere around 3%. I know a lot of people who are sitting below 3%. You may not be thinking that moving is a good idea right now. You're fat and happy. And there's a lot of fat and happy sellers right now who are saying, you know what, I'm going to take that 77% increase in my equity, and I'm going to keep my 2.95% interest rate, and I'm just going to add on a master bedroom, or I'm going to add that third car garage, or I'm going to add the swimming pool. They're going to do the things that they want to do rather than move. And what that means is we're going to still have fewer homes coming in the market. So there's going to be limited supply. There's going to be slowly increasing demand. And I just saw an article the other day, let's see if I can put it here on the screen, where institutional investors are wanting to buy single family homes and flip them into rentals. And these people are buying those first-time home buyer homes that so many of our first-time young couples are trying to buy, young adults, and it's going to make it continually hard for them to get in. So in summary, what I think is going to happen is we're going to go from this extreme seller's market where we were just 12 months ago to we're kind of moving into a more balanced market right now. And then we're going to see more of a buyer's market, which gives buyers more leverage to negotiate concessions, to ask for closing costs to be paid, and to not have to just give up all of their rights as a buyer to the seller. So sellers, beware. You're going to have to be competitive to compete in this market, but just know we're just moving back to the way we were normally. It's not a crash, guys. Don't panic. Don't fall into the prey of watching all the media that does all of this panic propaganda to scare you. We're not scared. We're in this industry. We're poised to do great things for our clients, and we're here to help you however we can. So hopefully you found this helpful. If you did, please subscribe, like I said below. And of course, DM me if you're interested in knowing what your home value is. Have you been in the home for a year? Have you been in the home for 5 years? I can share with you the equity that you have to determine if now might be a good time for you to sell. And by the way, make sure you check out this video right here where I keep abreast of what's happening in our local market. Thanks a lot.